Following yesterday's news confirming Richard Sharp's resignation as the BBC chairman, today's backlash is completely undermining the future of the BBC. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel that challenges the mainstream media and the political establishment, from the left-wing nutters to the globalist elite. Okay, so we come to you guys this week, well, the next couple of days from Cyprus. Yes, we are in Cyprus for a bit of break, but still we're going to be working. We're going to be giving you all the everyday news that's happening inside and outside the United Kingdom. Let's talk about what's happened yesterday. So there was this fascinating but predictable update. Richard Sharp resigned as the chairman of the BBC. The chairmanship of the BBC as a role is a political appointment, and the Prime Minister is usually behind it. That's usually been the case according to the Royal Charter. And now, because of his relationship with the former PM, Boris Johnson, and helping Boris to get a loan of, I believe, £800,000 at the time, he introduced him to another mutual friend, and that happened. He failed to declare the conflict of interest in two situations. So, according to the report that came out, as you guys might have already seen, the first point relates to Richard Sharp telling the Prime Minister Boris Johnson at the time that he wanted to apply before doing so. And Boris Johnson had the final say on who got the job as BBC chairman. The second point involves him telling Boris Johnson that he intended to set up a meeting between the UK's most senior civil servant and a millionaire who wanted to help the PM with his finances. So, according to the report, it was quite black and white. And as predicted on this channel, smoke without fire, usually you have to kind of ask certain questions. Now, today, we have the backlash. Now, this morning, they are talking about the successors, potential successor, and also the BBC themselves are falling apart. You've got one division briefing the other outlets like Sky News, saying everything's fine, and on their own website, they're loving it because they're trying to obviously throw Richard Sharp under the bus, rightly so, but no one knows really who's in charge at this point. So this is what they've done on BBC website. So they've done this graphic where it looks like some sort of organized crime or like mafia. You've got the top Boris Johnson, and obviously Simon Case, the head of civil service, working for him. The financier was Sam Blyth, who was introduced to Boris and Simon Case by Richard Sharp. And you can see it's just a bit of a mess. But some of the people working at the BBC are loving it. So they're creating these graphics to make sure everyone knows how forensic the people are at the BBC. The rest of them, they don't even know what they're doing. And the future of the BBC is being undermined because of these sort of comments. The Guardian, for example, are writing articles saying that Richard Sharp was Boris Johnson's toxic legacy. Well, I'm not really sure. I think there's more toxic legacy to Boris than Richard Sharp, but okay. Never again should politicians pick a boss for the BBC, according to Jonathan Friedland. Now, the problem with what Jonathan is saying in The Guardian is that it's not really up to us, unfortunately. The current system says that the PM does pick the next BBC chairman. This is according to the BBC Charter. Now, we can say that the system doesn't work, the BBC doesn't work, let's get rid of it, let's change it. This is the point when the Guardian, the same Guardian, and the editors who would publish an article like that, they would then say, oh, okay, let's not do that then, let's keep it as it is. They say, let's not appoint have political appointments, but then the only way you can actually cancel the political appointments is to stop the Royal Charter of the BBC. So you're either going to join us, the dark side, or you're going to keep the status quo. You have to pick one. This is the current clash today when it comes to the BBC debate today and this morning. Because of everything that's happened with Richard Sharp, I agree. There shouldn't be any political appointments, but there shouldn't be any appointments because the BBC should just be an independent outlet. They should make their own money. They shouldn't force the public to, those who sign up and those who own a TV are forced to pay. Obviously, most people don't pay at this point, but it's just not fair. Even if you don't watch the BBC, you have to pay the license fee. So the problem with this is that today we have a list of names for you guys who are going to be potentially replacing Richard Sharp as BBC chairman, the same cabal who've been coming out for the last 24 hours saying we probably shouldn't have anyone political, right? Okay, so the first name is Jay Hunt. Now, Jay Hunt is the former executive director at Apple TV. Okay, she has experience with broadcast media. She might be good. But the next name makes you question everything, the whole world, the whole matrix. Why? Why do they consider George Osborne? On what grounds can George Osborne be an alternative solution to Richard Sharp? It makes absolutely no sense why George Osborne is being considered. You think that's bad? Yes. Oh my God. Baroness. I forgot she's Baroness now. Yeah, Baroness Morgan is now also being considered. She's another leftist, wet, liberal Tory. And again, another former politician is being considered. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. Okay, so who's next? We have, well, Trevor Phillips. Sir Trevor Phillips. This one makes slightly more sense, regardless of his political views and everything else. At least, he's got some experience when it comes to TV. It's sort of like Jay Hunt in regards to broadcast media. Now, one issue is, again, if they're going to go for more businessy people like Sharon White, Dame Sharon White, who was the chairman of John Lewis, is that her appointment is still going to be political because the Prime Minister has to appoint her. So it makes absolutely no sense. The whole system is broken. The whole house of cards is falling apart and they're telling us everything is fine. Do you want political appointments? Do you not want political appointments? Do you want former politicians or do you not want former politicians? Do you want the BBC to force people to pay their TV tax if they own a TV? Or do you trust your content that people would find it popular enough to watch anyway? If that's the case, then go with a subscription model or advertising model, anything at this point. Maybe you could beg, like charity. You could have your own sort of charity subscription. People could actually just voluntarily give you some money. I don't know, like The Big Issue as a magazine. Anyway, but this is the latest we have for you guys. So we're gonna have more updates for you guys throughout the day. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.